looks like right now. NBA draft on the 18th. Training camps open shortly after on December 1st. And then it's go time for the season already on the 22nd. And that's just 46 days away. And the finals expected to finish before the Olympics begin on July 23rd. All right, Nick, let's break this down. How does this affect LeBron and the Lakers' chances of a repeat?
Oh, this is, I think the conventional wisdom is this bad for the Lakers because LeBron is old and it's going to be year 18 and all these miles. But what that doesn't factor in is that LeBron's a cyborg and he doesn't tire and he doesn't get hurt. So in reality, this is great for the Lakers because they were far and away the best team in the league the year that just finished. And because of the shortened offseason now, condensed free agency, no summer league, minimal training camp, the 2021 season is going to be more similar to the 2020 season than any two back-to-back years we've ever seen. So what do the Lakers not want? Massive changes to the roster. Now it's harder to change the roster. What do the Lakers not need? Big contributions from a rookie. Well, now it got harder for the teams that do need major contributions from a rookie with no summer league and no real offseason. And what is less likely to have happen? A lot of player movement. If for no other reason then, if you're a guy, say Rajon Rondo Wilds, and I know the Clippers might want him, but let's take any team other than the Clippers that recruits him. Now what? You've got to pick up your family, your life, move cities, and then be playing games that count all in a 15-day window. I think it leads to more static, meaning lack of movement, and it lets Anthony Davis, who was just playing the best basketball of his career, continue that momentum. So I say this is outstanding news for the defending world champion Los Angeles Lakers Wild.
Okay, so I buy most of that, and I'm going to float a theory to you that I want your reaction on. LeBron he shoulders the responsibility of the success of the league, right? And he's going to have to play December 22nd. That's a Turner game, and that's an ESPN game on the 25th. Those are two big games that he's going to go 100%. Usually those games were obviously 3 months apart. Now they're back-to-back, so he's got to come right out of the gate strong. Nick, we know that the only thing that really matters in LeBron's legacy is chasing ring number 6. And if he's got 72 games in a condensed schedule, and I know you're going to claim he's a cyborg, but it's not irresponsible to say, like, hey, let's manage our workload here. Rob Mahoney reported there's going to be 3 times as many back-to-backs this year as there was last year. I am totally okay. Wow. I'm going to go a step further. I think he should pull what he did in 2014 when he took that 2-week break in Miami, if he wants to, or if he needs to, and he should do it criticism-free, because it's going to be the toughest schedule, and he's had the least rest of anybody. So if you have been against load management for all the other players, I think LeBron should put this in his arsenal to break out if needed and not receive any criticism for it.
Let me respond to it quickly, and then I'll toss it to Brandon. First of all, the characterization of pull what he did in 2014, LeBron was getting a knee issue dealt with. He had to deal with it in Miami. I don't know what pull what he did. He needed 2 weeks to deal with an injury. So I don't know what you're talking about, pull what he did in 2014. That historical record does not back that up. LeBron, aside from his last year in Cleveland, typically misses 4 to 8 games a year. I would imagine that will happen again. I have never criticized that. I've never argued for any player you're obligated to play all 82 or this year all 72. It's the I'm going to skip a quarter of the games when healthy that I think's over the top. Now, I understand the art. LeBron's played the 3rd most minutes of any player in the history of basketball. If anyone deserves time off, it's him. I don't think that's how he's wired. If it's going to be a 72-game season, LeBron's going to play in a minimum of 60 of them, and I would guess, Brandon, closer to 65.
That's too many.
Yeah, so for me, when I look at this, LeBron and the Lakers benefit the most from this NBA season starting on the 22nd. Why? Because they have the best player and they have the best leader in LeBron James. I look at this in the NFL, on the NFL side of things, my preseason predictions, people are like, well, why did you pick the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers to make it to the Super Bowl? Why are you high on Tampa Bay and Tom Brady? Well, because you got to think about this. Right now, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. Racial tension is soaring. So what do we need most? We need people who can actually produce, and we need people who can actually lead. So when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach Tomlin is one of the most phenomenal leaders when it comes down to moving men. And then the Seattle Seahawks, the entire culture from Russell Wilson to Pete Carroll to Bobby Wagner, the entire locker room just lights out. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady alone has not revolutionized, excuse me, too strong, but Tom Brady has taken that culture and put it into a healthy space so fast. So when you look at the NBA, go back to the bubble. The Lakers won it because of LeBron James, because LeBron James was able to change the mindset of everybody in that locker room. You had Dwight Howard that didn't want to come back. You had other teams and other players around it that opted out. LeBron James was able to keep everybody together. So if LeBron James' mindset switches to where, all right, let's kick it into gear, let me go get 5, then they will have the best chance of repeating because of him. Best player and best leader in the NBA.
All right, all three of you are high on LeBron and the Lakers coming into this season. According to our friends at Fox Bet, they still have the Lakers as the favorites to take home the 2021 title. So it's Lakers, followed by Clippers, Warriors, Bucks, and then you see the Nets there. Nick, who is impacted the most from the updated schedule?
Well, listen, I think that teams that finish the year feeling great about themselves are helped by it. So we all talked about the Lakers, but I also think a team like Dallas and Denver are also helped by it. But I'm going to focus more on impact in a negative way. I think 2 of those teams on the list are really, really negatively impacted by this. And people will think I'm picking on them, but I was right last year and I'm going to be right here. This is awful for the Clippers. The Clippers Kawhi Leonard has told them, they need to remake their roster a bit. Now have less time to do it. It's now harder to do it. They got a new head coach. They're going to have to figure that out in a more abbreviated period of time. And if anybody needs extra time to rest, it's Kawhi. And now he's not going to get it. Yep. And the back-to-backs, when's the last time Kawhi played a back-to-back? When he was at San Diego State in the Pac-12 tournament, not even in the Pac-12, in the NCAA tournament, it hadn't happened. And so for the Clippers, it's bad. Another team on that list, Wild, it's bad for is Golden State. Because Golden State was either going to be big game hunting this summer, which is now harder in a far more condensed free agency, or they were going to keep that number 2 pick and hope that after Summer League and offseason in that culture, he can be a real contributor. Now there's no Summer League. James Wiseman hadn't played, who allegedly they're targeting, James Wiseman played 3 college basketball games. And now he's got no Summer League. And now that you draft him, you expect him to walk into an NBA game and be a part of a championship contender. So if I'm the Warriors or the Clippers, I am incredibly, concerned that this is going to be the schedule, Wilds.
You know who else I'm worried about? The Rockets. Same thing, a lot of instability in the front office and coaching. But we've also heard that the Rockets' Achilles heel is that they can beat you once, but if you play them a few times, you kind of figure them out. And now with this condensed schedule, it's going to look a lot more like baseball. You're going to play a team twice in a row, 3 times in a row, maybe